I work as a waitress at one of the most expensive restaurants in New York City. Most nights I serve celebrities, CEOs, people who spend more on a single meal than I make in a week. I smile. I'm professional. I don't ask for autographs or make a scene. 3 months ago, I was working a double shift when Adrian Keller walked in. If you don't know the name, he's worth $4.2 billion, tech mogul, self-made, on every Forbes list. He requested a private table, ate alone, which was unusual for someone that famous. I was assigned to serve him. I brought water, took his order, stayed invisible the way good servers do. Then I saw his wrist, a small tattoo, a red rose with thorns twisted into an infinity symbol. My heart stopped. My mother has the exact same tattoo, same design, same placement, same wrist. I've asked her about it my entire life. She never explains, just says, "It's from before you were born." So I did something I'd never done with a customer. I asked a personal question. "Excuse me, sir? My mother has a tattoo exactly like yours. What does it mean?" Adrian Keller went completely still. Then he asked me my mother's name. When I said it, he dropped his wine glass. It shattered. And he looked at me like I'd just brought someone back from the dead. Before we dive in, have you ever discovered a secret about your parents' past that changed how you saw them? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love stories about lost love, second chances, and how the past never really stays buried, please subscribe so you don't miss our next one. Now, let me tell you about the night a tattoo revealed a story that had been waiting 25 years to finish. I'll start with the most difficult part. My mother is dying. Breast cancer. Stage 4. Metastasized to her lymph nodes and liver. The doctors gave her a year. That was 3 months ago. She's been fighting. Chemotherapy, radiation, clinical trials. But the treatments are expensive. Even with insurance, the co-pays are crushing us. My mother, Julia, works as a housekeeper. She cleans homes in Manhattan and Brooklyn. Rich people's homes. She's done this for 24 years, my entire life. She never complains, never asks for help, just works. 6 days a week, sometimes 7. But now she can't work. She's too weak, too sick. So I work. I work double shifts at Cipriani. Breakfast and dinner, sometimes lunch if they need me. I bring home maybe $400 a night in tips if I'm lucky. It's not enough. But it's all I have. It was a Friday night in late October. Cipriani was packed, every table full. The kind of crowd you get in Manhattan. I was on my 8th hour, feet aching, smile fixed in place. Just 3 more hours until I could go home. Josh, the floor manager, pulled me aside. "Lucia, table 12, VIP. He asked for privacy and the best server we have. That's you." "Who is it?" "Adrian Keller." I knew the name. Everyone did. Tech billionaire, self-made, German immigrant who'd built a software empire from nothing. "He's eating alone?" I asked. "Apparently. He requested the private corner table. No fuss, just service." "Got it." I grabbed a water pitcher, walked to table 12. Adrian Keller sat with his back to the wall. Mid-40s maybe. Dark blonde hair starting to go gray. Well-dressed but not flashy. Charcoal suit, no tie. He was reading something on his phone. Looked sad. That was the word that came to mind. Sad. "Good evening, sir. My name is Lucia. I'll be taking care of you tonight. Can I start you with something to drink?" He looked up. Tired eyes. "Red wine. Whatever you recommend." "The Barolo is excellent." "That's fine." I poured water, set down bread. He barely noticed. Just stared out the window at the Manhattan skyline. Wealthy people eating alone always made me sad. You have everything, but you're sitting in an expensive restaurant by yourself on a Friday night. What's the point? I brought the wine, took his order. Filet mignon, medium rare, asparagus, simple. "Thank you," he said quietly. "Of course." I'll have that out shortly. I turned to leave. That's when I saw it. His left hand resting on the table, and on his wrist, visible as his sleeve pulled back slightly. A tattoo. Small. Delicate. A red rose with thorns twisted into the shape of an infinity symbol. My breath caught. I knew that tattoo. I've seen my mother's left wrist every single day of my life. When she cooks. When she brushes my hair as a child. When she hugs me. When she reaches for me across a table. The tattoo is always there. A red rose. Thorns forming an infinity symbol. Faded now. The red not as bright as it must have been once, but still visible. I asked her about it when I was 7. Mama, what does that mean? It's from a long time ago, Tesoro, before you were born. But what does it mean? It means love is beautiful. But it hurts, and it lasts forever. Did you love someone? I love you. Someone else? She smiled sadly. Once, yes. A long time ago. My dad? What happened to him? He's gone, that's all. Now go play. She never talked about it again. Every time I asked, she'd change the subject. Eventually, I stopped asking. But I never stopped wondering. And now, here, in this restaurant, a billionaire I'd never met before had the exact same tattoo, same design, same wrist. What were the odds? I stood there frozen, staring at his wrist. He noticed. Is something wrong? I'm sorry, I shouldn't say anything. It's not professional, but I couldn't help it. This is going to sound strange, but my mother has a tattoo exactly like that. Same rose, same thorns, same wrist. Adrian Keller went completely still. His wine glass, halfway to his lips, froze in midair. What did you say? My mother. She has that exact tattoo. I've asked her about it my entire life. She never tells me what it means, just says it's from before I was born. What? His voice came out hoarse. He cleared his throat. What is your mother's name? Julia. Julia Rossi. Why, do you— The wine glass slipped from his hand. It hit the table. Shattered. Red wine spreading across the white tablecloth like blood. Julia, he whispered. I grabbed napkins. Started cleaning up the wine. I'm so sorry. Let me get you another glass. How old are you? He wasn't looking at the mess. He was looking at me, staring like he was seeing a ghost. I'm 24. Sir, are you okay? 24. He was doing math in his head. Where is she? Where is Julia? She's in the hospital. She's sick. Sir, do you know my mother? He stood up abruptly, pulled out his wallet, threw down $500 bills on the table. I have to go, I'm sorry. Wait, your food. Keep the money. I have to go. And he left. Just like that. Out the door. Leaving me standing there with a shattered wine glass and $500 and absolutely no idea what had just happened. I texted my mother that night when I got home. 2 a.m. Me. Mama, do you know someone named Adrian Keller? No response. She was probably asleep. The medication made her sleep a lot. I Googled Adrian Keller on my phone. Dozens of articles, Forbes profiles, TechCrunch interviews, photos of him at conferences, galas, charity events, always alone. I noticed that. Never with a date. Never with a wife. The articles mentioned it too. Tech's most eligible bachelor. Why hasn't Adrian Keller settled down? One article from 5 years ago quoted him, I was in love once, a long time ago. It didn't work out. I've never found that again. I stared at the tattoo visible in one of the photos. The rose, the thorns, the infinity. What happened between him and my mother? The next morning, I went to the hospital. Saturday. Visiting hours started at 10 a.m. My mother was in room 407, 4th floor, oncology wing. She was awake, sitting up in bed, bald from chemotherapy, thin, an IV in her arm, but she smiled when she saw me. Tesoro, you didn't have to come so early. I always come on Saturdays, Mama. I kissed her forehead, sat in the chair next to her bed. How are you feeling? Tired, but okay. The new medication helps with the nausea. That's good. We talked about small things, her treatment, the nurses, the terrible hospital food. Then I said, as casually as I could, Mama, do you know someone named Adrian Keller? She went very still. Why do you ask that name? He came into the restaurant last night. He has a tattoo, on his wrist, exactly like yours. The color drained from her face. Adrian was there, at your restaurant? You do know him. He is famous, you know. Lucia, where is he now? I don't know. He left. He saw me, asked your name, and when I said Julia Rossi, he left. Mama, who is he? She was crying, tears streaming down her face. He found me. After all these years, he found me. Mama, what are you talking about? I knew him as Adrian Keller, but he was just Adrian then. We were in love. 25 years ago, before you were born. What happened? I had to leave. Go back to Italy. My nonna was dying. I promised I'd come back in 6 months. I tried. But when I came back, he was gone. I looked for him everywhere. I thought he'd forgotten about me. Moved on. And the tattoo? She touched her left wrist. The faded rose. We got them together, the week before I left. He said, even when we're apart, we'll have this. Proof that we existed, that what we had was real. Mama. I didn't know what to say. I need to see him. Lucia, please. I don't have his number. I don't know how to reach him. You mentioned he is famous now. There must be a way. Please, Tesoro. I don't have much time left. I need to see him. I need him to know I never forgot. I called the restaurant, asked Josh if Adrian Keller had left any contact information. No, but, Lucia, someone's here asking for you. Who? He says his name is Thomas Beck. He's Adrian Keller's lawyer. He wants to talk to you. I'm at the hospital. Can he come here? Hold on. Muffled conversation. Then, he says he'll be there in 30 minutes. Thomas Beck arrived exactly 30 minutes later. 50s. Gray suit, kind face. He introduced himself to me in the hospital cafeteria. Ms. Rossi, I represent Adrian Keller. He asked me to find you, to ask about your mother. Is he okay? He seemed upset when he left last night. He's been upset for 25 years. Last night was the first time he had hope. Thomas pulled out a tablet. Can you tell me about your mother? Her full name, her medical condition, everything. I told him. Julia Rossi, 48 years old. Breast cancer, stage 4. Mount Sinai Hospital, room 407. Prognosis, less than a year. Thomas typed notes. And you said she knows Adrian. She says they were in love, 25 years ago. She had to go back to Italy. When she returned, he was gone. She thought he'd moved on. He didn't move on. He spent 5 years looking for her. Nothing. He thought she'd stayed in Italy, that she'd chosen to stay with her family. They both thought the other gave up. Exactly. Thomas closed the tablet. Adrian wants to see her. With your permission. She wants to see him too. When? Now. Today. As soon as possible. She's dying, Mr. Beck. She doesn't have time to wait. Understood. I'll bring him this afternoon. 3 hours later, there was a knock on the door of room 407. I opened it. Adrian Keller stood there. Same charcoal suit from last night, but his face looked different. Older. More tired. Nervous. Is she? She's awake. She knows you're coming. But Mr. Keller? Adrian, please. Adrian. She's very sick. She looks different than you remember. The chemo. I don't care. I just need to see her. I stepped aside. He walked past me into the room. And there was my mother, sitting up in bed, bald, thin, IV in her arm. But when she saw him, her face lit up. 25 years melted away. For a moment, she looked young again. Adrian? Julia. He crossed the room, sat in the chair next to her bed, took her hand, running his fingers over her rose tattoo. They both stared at each other, not speaking, just looking. Then they both started crying. I sat in the hallway outside room 407 for 2 hours. Through the door, I could hear muffled voices, sometimes crying, sometimes silence, sometimes what sounded like laughter through tears. What were they talking about? I checked my phone, scrolled through social media without really seeing anything, tried to give them privacy, tried not to listen, but I was dying to know. Finally, after exactly 2 hours and 7 minutes, the door opened. Adrian stepped out. His face was pale, eyes swollen and red. He looked like someone had just told him the world was ending. Is she okay? I stood up quickly. Is my mother... She's fine. She's... He stopped, looked at me, and something in his expression made my stomach drop. He was staring at me, really staring, like he'd never seen me before. Adrian, what's wrong? Lucia, I need to talk to you, right now. Can we go somewhere private? Sure. The cafeteria? Yes, that works. We walked to the cafeteria in complete silence. The kind of silence that makes your heart pound. Something had happened in that room. Something big. We bought coffee neither of us would drink. Sat at a corner table under flickering fluorescent lights. Adrian couldn't stop staring at me. His hands were shaking. You're scaring me, I said. What did my mother tell you? Lucia. His voice was hoarse. When is your birthday? What? Your birthday? When is it? March 15th. Why? What year? 2000. Adrian, what's going on? He closed his eyes, took a deep breath. When he opened them again, there were tears. Your mother just told me something. Something she's kept hidden for 24 years. My stomach twisted. What? When she went to Italy in 1999, she didn't know she was pregnant. She found out about a month after she arrived, in August. The world seemed to tilt. Pregnant. With you. She was pregnant with you. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. She came back to New York in January 2000, 7 months pregnant. She went to my old apartment. I was gone. Moved in December. She looked for me for 2 weeks. She couldn't find me. And then... His voice broke. March 15th, 2000. You were born. At this hospital, and she was completely alone. Are you saying... I couldn't finish the sentence. I'm saying we think I'm your father. The cafeteria disappeared. Everything disappeared except his words echoing in my head. We think I'm your father. No. I shook my head. No. My mother said my father was someone from Italy. She said that because she couldn't find me. She thought I'd moved on. She thought I'd forgotten her. But I was here, Lucia, in New York, for 24 years. Looking for her. Looking for both of you. I just didn't know you existed. You didn't know about me. I had no idea. If I had known, if I had found her when she came back, everything would have been different. I stood up abruptly. The chair scraped loudly against the floor. I need to talk to my mother. Lucia, I need to hear this from her. Right now. I walked back into room 407 slowly. My mother was sitting up in bed, waiting. She saw my face and her eyes filled with tears. He told you, she said quietly. I pulled the chair close to her bed, sat down. Yeah, he told me. Are you angry? I thought about it. Was I angry? I was something. Hurt, confused, overwhelmed. I don't know what I am, I said honestly. Tell me everything, from the beginning. I need to understand. So she told me. All of it. About meeting Adrian in 1999, about falling in love, about having to leave for Italy when Nona had her stroke. I found out I was pregnant about a month after I got there. I was 6 weeks along. Why didn't you tell him? I wanted to, but international calls were so expensive. I tried to write letters. I don't know if he ever got them. And Nona was so sick. I kept thinking, I'll tell him when I get back. I'll tell him in person. But when you came back, he was gone. I was 7 months pregnant. I went to his apartment. The landlord said he'd moved in December. No forwarding address. Phone disconnected. And you looked for him. For 2 weeks, I went everywhere, asked everyone who knew him. Nobody knew where he'd gone. And I was 7 months pregnant, Lucia. Huge, exhausted, alone. And after 2 weeks, I gave up. I told myself if he'd wanted to find me, he would have. That maybe he'd met someone else. That I needed to focus on you. I was staying at a friend's place and then got an apartment in another neighborhood. I was quiet for a long time. Processing. I'm so sorry, Tesoro. I reached for her hand. I'm not angry at you, Mama. I'm just sad. For all of us. For all the years we lost. You're not angry? How can I be angry? You were 23, alone, pregnant, scared. You did the best you could with what you had. And you gave me a good life. You worked yourself to the bone to give me everything I needed. I know that. But you deserved a father. And he deserved to know he had a daughter. But neither of you knew. You were both looking. You just couldn't find each other. That's not your fault. That's just cruel timing. She was crying now. I love you so much. I love you too, Mama. I squeezed her hand. I left my mother's room and went to the stairwell, not to cry, just to think. Adrian found me there 20 minutes later. Can I join you? He asked. Sure. He sat down beside me. We were quiet for a while. Your mother told you everything? He asked. Yeah. And? And I understand. What happened? Why it happened. It wasn't anyone's fault. Just bad luck. Bad timing. But? I looked at him. But I'm 24 years old, and I just found out my entire origin story was wrong. The man I thought was some guy from Italy who left is actually you, who's been in New York my whole life. That's a lot to process. I know. Silence. Then I asked the question I needed to ask. Why did you move? In December 1999, right before she came back. What happened? Adrian leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I got a job offer, a startup. They needed a programmer. It was in Midtown. Better pay than construction. Real pay. Enough to save money. I took it immediately because I thought, his voice cracked. I thought if I could save enough money, I could go to Italy, find Julia, bring her back, or stay there with her, whatever she wanted. So you moved closer to work. Yes, and I was working crazy hours, 16, 18 hours a day, because I wanted to save as much as possible. I changed my phone number because the old one was a landline in the apartment I left. I got a cell phone. They were just becoming affordable. I gave the landlord my new number. He said he'd pass it along if anyone asked. He never did. Mom said she asked him. He said you didn't leave a forwarding address. He was 89 years old. He probably forgot. Adrian rubbed his face. I left in early December. Started the new job December 15th. Your mother came back. January 10th. She remembers the exact date. I missed her by 1 month. 1 month, Lucia. If I'd waited just a little longer, if the landlord had remembered to give her my number, you would have known about me. I would have been there. For everything. The pregnancy, the birth, the first 24 years of your life. He looked at me. I was trying to build a better life, so I could give Julia everything. And instead, I missed everything. I could hear the weight in his voice. 25 years of regret. You didn't know, I said quietly. No. But I should have left better information. Should have tried harder to stay in touch. Should have... He stopped. I've spent 25 years thinking about what I should have done differently. My mom spent 25 years doing the same thing. You were both trying your best. You both just missed each other. By 1 month. By 1 month. We sat in silence for a moment. So, I suppose you want to do a DNA test, to be certain. And that's fine. But Adrian, I already know. I think so too. But I need it confirmed. For legal reasons. For medical reasons. And because I need to be absolutely certain before I... He stopped. Before you what? Before I let myself believe it. Before I let myself feel it. Because if I let myself believe you're my daughter, and then the test comes back negative, I don't think I could handle that. I understood. Okay, we'll do the test. Thank you. Adrian called me on the 3rd day. The results are in. Can you meet me at the hospital? I want us all to be together. Yeah, I'll be there in 30 minutes. When I arrived, Adrian was standing outside my mother's room. He was holding an envelope. His hands were steady, but I could see the tension in his jaw. Ready? He asked. As ready as I'll ever be. We walked in together. My mother sat up straighter when she saw us. Adrian opened the envelope, read the first page silently, then looked up at me. 99.9% probability of paternity. His voice was calm, but his eyes were wet. Lucia, you're my daughter. Oh my God. Come here, Tesoro. My mother opened her arms to hug me, we both with tears in our eyes. I looked at Adrian, barely holding himself. You can come too. He seemed surprised, hesitated, but then he joined our embrace, all 3 of us crying. What happens now? I asked as we moved away. Now I fix this. As much as I can. He looked back toward the room. Toward my mother. I lost so many years. I'm not losing whatever time is left. Over the next week, things happened fast. Dr. Daniela Hill, my mother's oncologist, called me into her office. Ms. Rossi, I received a call from someone claiming to be Adrian Keller's representative. He wants to transfer your mother to a private facility. Unlimited budget. Access to experimental treatments. Is this legitimate? Yes. He's an old friend of my mother's. An old friend with $4 billion. Dr. Hill smiled. Lucia, I have to ask, is your mother comfortable with this? It's very generous, but it's also a lot. She's comfortable. He wants to help, and we need help. Then I'll coordinate the transfer. There's a clinical trial at Sloan Kettering, very promising. Immunotherapy, but it's expensive, not covered by insurance. If Mr. Keller is willing to pay, he is. Then let's do it. My mother was transferred to Memorial Sloan Kettering 2 days later. Private room, private nurses, the best oncologists in the country. Adrian paid for everything. He also paid off her medical debt. All of it. $140,000 in bills from the past 3 months. Gone. He paid my rent for a year. Told me to quit the restaurant. Focus on school. I'd dropped out of NYU when my mother got sick. Couldn't afford tuition and her medical bills. Go back, he said. Finish your degree. Your mother wants that for you. I can't accept this. It's too much. It's not too much. It's 24 years too late. I watched them together over the following weeks. Adrian visited every day, sometimes twice a day. He'd sit with her for hours, holding her hand, talking, laughing, crying. They told each other everything, the 25 years they'd missed. Adrian told her about building his company, the long hours, the loneliness, how he'd never married because no one ever felt like her. Julia told him about raising me, the struggle, The fear. We were in the same city for 25 years, and we never crossed paths. Until now. Until Lucia. They both looked at me. I was sitting in the corner, pretending to read. She saved us, Julia said. Our daughter saved us. The immunotherapy worked. Not perfectly. Not a cure. But after 3 months, Dr. Hill had news. The tumors are shrinking, not gone, but significantly smaller. We're calling this a remission. Mom cried. So did I. So did Adrian. How long? Mom asked. I can't promise anything, but with continued treatment, you could have years. Not months. Years. Years. She looked at Adrian. We have years. We have whatever time you'll give me, he said. 6 months after that night in the restaurant, Adrian proposed. Not in a fancy restaurant, not with a big production, just in her hospital room, on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. I should have asked you 25 years ago, he said. I should have put a ring on your finger and never let you get on that plane to Italy. But I was young, and stupid, and scared. I'm not scared anymore. Julia Rossi, will you marry me? She said yes. They got married a month later. Small ceremony. Just me, Thomas Beck, Dr. Hill, and a few nurses who'd cared for Julia. She wore a simple white dress. Adrian wore a suit. They stood in the hospital chapel and promised forever. This time they meant it. 2 years later. My mother is still alive. The cancer is still there. But stable. Managed. She goes to Sloan Kettering once a month for treatment. The rest of the time, she lives. She and Adrian bought a house in Connecticut. On the water. She always wanted to live near the ocean. They travel when she's feeling strong. Italy, Germany. Places they'd left behind decades ago. I finished my degree at NYU, graduated last spring. I work now at a book publisher. Last week I had dinner at their house in Connecticut. We sat on the porch, watching the sun set over the water, drinking wine, talking about nothing important. At one point, I noticed my mother and Adrian holding hands. Both of them, left hands intertwined. The tattoos were visible. 2 roses, 2 sets of thorns. 2 infinity symbols. Faded now. 27 years old. But still there. Do you ever regret it? I asked. The tattoo. I know there used to be some discrimination, Adrian answered first. I don't regret the tattoo. It was the only thing that kept me believing she was real, that what we had wasn't just a dream. I kept mine for the same reason, Julia said. I thought about covering it, or removing it, but I couldn't. It was all I had left of him. And now? I asked. Now it's a reminder, Adrian said, that love doesn't die, even when you think it's gone. Even when 25 years pass, it waits. L'amore è bello ma fa male, Julia said softly. Ed è per sempre. Love is beautiful, but it hurts, and it's forever. Forever, Adrian agreed. They didn't get a fairy tale. My mother is still sick. The cancer will probably take her eventually, but not today. Not yet. Today, they're holding hands, matching tattoos visible in the fading light. Today, they have forever. However long forever turns out to be.